We live in a world of surfaces. We navigate our lives by what we can touch, what we can measure, and what we can see. We trust the concrete reality of the ground beneath our feet and the walls that shelter us. But for 2,000 years, a specific group of people has gathered in every corner of the earth to claim that the most important reality in the universe is one that cannot be seen. They gather in cathedrals of stone and chapels of wood, claiming that the creator of the stars has hidden himself behind the fragile appearance of a piece of bread. It is the central mystery of the Catholic faith, the real presence. The belief that the veil between heaven and earth is thinner than we think, and that in the Eucharist, God is physically present, silently waiting. Usually, this presence is felt only in the heart. It is a whisper, a sensation of peace, a quiet conviction. But every so often, throughout history, stories emerge that suggest the veil might not just be thin, it might be translucent. There are moments when the silence breaks. Moments when the invisible claims its space in the visible world. And sometimes, these moments are captured not by the human eye, which is easily tricked, but by the mechanical, unblinking eye of a camera lens. To understand the story we are about to explore, we must leave behind the skepticism of the digital age for a moment and travel to the beating heart of the Caribbean. We are going to the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo. This is a city of contrasts. It is ancient and modern, loud and devout. The air here is thick with humidity and the smell of the sea. It is a place where the spiritual world feels very close to the physical one. The people here pray with a fire and an intensity that can feel overwhelming to an outsider. Faith in Santo Domingo is not a private, quiet hobby. It is a roar. It is a way of life. Our story takes us to a specific location within this vibrant city. We are not going to a centuries-old colonial cathedral with stained glass windows and Gothic arches. We are going to a place that looks much more like the modern world. We are going to Casa San Pablo. Casa San Pablo is a massive complex, an auditorium and retreat center that serves as a hub for the archdiocese. It is a place of conferences, charismatic renewals, and massive gatherings. Imagine the scene. It is a large, cavernous hall. The architecture is functional, designed to hold thousands of souls. On this particular day, a day that has been debated and reposted across the internet for over a decade, the hall is packed. If you were there, you would have felt the heat of the crowd. You would have heard the sound of thousands of voices singing in Spanish, a wall of sound rising up to the rafters. This is the atmosphere of a charismatic adoration. It is electric. There are tears. There are hands raised in the air. There is a palpable sense of expectation. These people have not come just to hear a speech. They have come to meet a person. They believe that Jesus Christ is about to walk among them. The focus of the entire room is drawn to a single point on the stage. There, amidst the flowers and the lights, stands the monstrance. For those who may not know, the monstrance is a vessel, usually made of gold or silver, designed for one purpose: to hold the consecrated host, the Eucharist, so it can be seen and adored by the people. The monstrance is often designed like a sunburst, with rays of gold exploding outward from the center. It is beautiful, but it is meant to be secondary. It is merely the frame. The masterpiece is the small, white circle in the center. In the middle of this ocean of prayer stands a priest. In the accounts that have circulated through the back channels of the internet, preserved in blogs and forums since as early as 2010, he is often referred to simply as Fray Jose. We do not need to know his biography to understand his experience in this moment. We can imagine it because the experience of a priest during adoration is universal. He is wearing the heavy vestments of his order. The lights of the auditorium are beating down on him. It is hot. He is likely tired. Being the bridge between a crowd of thousands and the Almighty is an exhausting task. Fray Jose is a man made of flesh and blood, just like anyone else in that room. He has his own worries, his own distractions, his own prayers. But in this moment, he has to set himself aside. He approaches the altar. He reaches out his hands to lift the monstrance. Pause for a second and consider the physical reality of this. A large monstrance is heavy. It is solid metal. As he lifts it, he feels the weight in his shoulders and arms. He has to hold it steady. He has to elevate it high enough for the people in the back rows to see. He is gripping the stem of the vessel, his hands covered by the humeral veil, a special cloth used so that his hands do not touch the sacred vessel directly, a sign of extreme reverence. He begins to move. He turns toward the people. This is the climax of the event. This is the benediction. He is making the sign of the cross over the crowd with the Eucharist itself. To the naked eye, everything is normal. The gold reflects the stage lights. The white host sits still in the center. Fray Jose is moving slowly, solemnly, tracing the shape of the cross in the air. The crowd is reacting. Some are bowing their heads. Others are reaching out their hands as if they want to touch the hem of a garment. The music swells, or perhaps fades into a profound silence, that specific kind of heavy silence you only find in deep prayer. In the middle of this crowd, there is a person with a camera. We don't know their name. We don't know if they were a professional photographer hired by the archdiocese, or just a devout believer trying to capture a memory of the retreat. We don't know what kind of camera they were holding. It was likely a digital camera, common for that time period around 2010 or 2011. The photographer sees Fray Jose lift the monstrance. They see the moment of blessing. They frame the shot. They want to capture the priest and the Eucharist. They are looking through the viewfinder, composing the image. They focus. It is just a split second. The mechanical shutter creates a tiny window in time, a fraction of a second. In that fraction of a second, Fray Jose feels nothing unusual. He feels the weight of the gold. He feels the heat of the lights. He feels the gaze of the crowd. He does not stumble. He does not drop the vessel. To him, and to everyone watching with their physical eyes, the air is clear. There is nothing there but oxygen, dust motes, and light. But the camera operates differently than the human eye. The sensor of a camera is unbiased. It does not have a brain to filter out information. It simply records the photons that hit it. It captures the raw data of light. The photographer presses the button. Click. The image is saved to the memory card. The moment passes. Fray Jose lowers the monstrance. The service continues. The people eventually go home. The lights are turned off in Casa San Pablo. The event is over. It becomes just another memory in the long history of the church in Santo Domingo. It wasn't until later, perhaps hours, perhaps days when the photos were being reviewed, that the anomaly was discovered. Imagine the shock of the person reviewing the files. They are scrolling through hundreds of pictures. There are photos of the crowd, photos of the choir, photos of the stage, and then they stop. They freeze. They look at the screen. They probably rubbed their eyes. They probably thought, something is wrong with my camera. The lens must have been dirty. I moved my hand too fast. But as they looked closer, the glitch didn't look like a mistake. It didn't look like a blur. It looked like a structure. It had form. It had direction. And most hauntingly, it had color. What appeared on that screen shouldn't have been there. Physics says it shouldn't be there. The lighting rig in the auditorium couldn't produce it. And yet, there it was. A phenomenon that would soon escape the hard drive of that computer and spread across the world, debated by skeptics, cherished by believers, and forwarded in emails and Facebook posts for the next 15 years. The image seemed to show that the air around Fray Jose wasn't empty at all. It seemed to show that the monstrance wasn't just reflecting light, it was generating it. But this wasn't just a glow. It wasn't a halo. It was something much more specific. Something that looked like a violent, beautiful, rushing stream. And for those who know their theology, for those who have studied the mystics and the prophets, the shape and the colors of this light were instantly, terrifyingly familiar. Because what the camera caught that day in Santo Domingo wasn't just a beam of light. It looked like a visual echo of a promise made thousands of years ago. It looked like a river, and it was flowing directly from the source that Catholics claim is the center of the universe. The question is, what exactly are we looking at? Is it a digital artifact? A trick of the lens? Or did a generic digital camera in the Dominican Republic accidentally pull back the veil on the supernatural? To understand the answer, we have to look at the photo itself. We have to dissect it. We have to strip away the rumors and look at the raw data. And when we do, we find that the details are even more strange than the stories suggest. Because the colors in the photo, they tell a story of their own. The background is dark, a deep canvas of shadow typical of a large auditorium with stage lighting. But the subject of this photo is not the priest. It is the light. Dominating the frame is a massive, sweeping anomaly. It does not look like a static beam or a gentle glow. It looks like a liquid torrent. It appears to originate from the monstrance itself, specifically from the area of the host, and it cascades downward and outward to the right, as if gravity is pulling it toward the congregation. This is not a subtle flare. It is a violent, beautiful gush of spectral energy. And the most striking feature is not the brightness, but the separation of colors. The light is not uniform. It is distinctly segmented. If you search for this image online today, you will find it posted on thousands of blogs, Pinterest boards, and Facebook pages. Almost every single one of them comes with a specific caption. Miracle at Casa San Pablo, October 30th, 2011. This date has become part of the lore. It gives the story a sense of historical precision. But when you are dealing with viral miracles, the internet often acts like a game of telephone. Details get added, dates get shifted, and the original context is often overwritten by the most popular repost. We decided to look past the copy-paste captions. We dug into the digital archives, tracing the image back through the layers of the internet. And what we found changes the timeline. This photo did not originate in late 2011. We found digital footprints of this image circulating on Spanish and English devotional blogs as early as July 2010. This means the event at Casa San Pablo happened over a year before it went viral. Why does this matter? Because it strips away the idea that this was a manufactured hoax designed for social media likes. In 2010, the viral machinery of the internet was different. This image likely sat on a hard drive, then was emailed from person to person, sharing a quiet journey among the faithful before it ever hit the public feed. The date may be wrong in the popular retelling, but the image itself has remained consistent for over a decade. So, what are we looking at? If we bring a skeptic's eye to this image, which we should, for faith should never be afraid of scrutiny, we can look for natural explanations. Photography is a manipulation of light and time. When a camera shutter remains open for a fraction of a second too long in a dark room, and the subject moves, you get motion blur. Light sources drag across the frame. A skeptic would say, "This is simple. The priest moved the monstrance. The stage lights reflected off the gold metal. The camera moved. The red, white, and gold are just the result of the stage lighting smearing across the sensor." And scientifically, that is a perfectly valid hypothesis. It is the most logical, physical explanation. It fits the laws of optics. But here is where the mystery refuses to die. Here is where the accident becomes specific. If this is merely a chaotic smear of light, a random error of a shaking hand, the odds of it forming this specific pattern are astronomical. Lens flares are usually geometric hexagons or circles. Motion blur is usually linear, a streak of white or yellow. But this anomaly has a distinct structure. It mimics the behavior of a fluid. It has a source, a direction, and a flow. And most importantly, it has a color palette that perfectly aligns with the deepest theology of the object being photographed. If you were to ask a theologian to paint the spiritual reality of the Eucharist, they would reach for three specific colors. First, red. The color of humanity, of blood, of sacrifice. The Eucharist is, by definition, the representation of the sacrifice of Calvary. It is the body. Second, white or pale blue. The color of divinity, of water, of the Holy Spirit, of baptismal purification. Third, gold. The color of kingship. The uncreated light of the Godhead. In this accidental photo, we do not see a muddy mixture of brown or gray. We see these three specific theological colors, separated and distinct, flowing together. This is what believers call a God incidence. It is the idea that God can use the natural laws of physics, the refraction of light, the shutter speed of a camera, the trembling of a hand to create a supernatural sign. It suggests that perhaps the camera didn't create the light, but rather, the camera was the only thing capable of seeing the reality that is always there. Consider the direction of the flow. In the image, the light is not enveloping the priest. It is not surrounding him like a halo. It is pouring out of the monstrance. It is leaving the center and rushing toward the edge of the frame. This creates a powerful visual link to one of the most mysterious prophecies in the Old Testament. The prophet Ezekiel described a vision of a new temple. He wrote, "Water was issuing from below the threshold of the temple toward the east, flowing down from below the south end of the threshold of the temple, south of the altar." In Catholic theology, Christ is the new temple. The monstrance holds Christ. And in this photo, we see a stream liquid light flowing from the threshold of the altar, heading out to water the dry land of the congregation. For the faithful, this is not a glitch. It is a glimpse. It is a visual confirmation of what they believe happens at every Mass, in every church, every day. They believe that grace is not an abstract concept. They believe it is a real, potent force that flows from the Eucharist like a river. But the rabbit hole goes deeper. Because this combination of red and pale white isn't just a generic symbol. It is a specific signature. It connects this grainy photo from the Dominican Republic to a snowy convent in Poland in the 1930s. The camera in Santo Domingo captured a shape. But 80 years earlier, a nun named Faustina captured the meaning. And when you read her diary, the hair on the back of your neck begins to stand up. Because she didn't just speak about these rays, she saw them. To understand the full weight of what happened in that auditorium in Santo Domingo, we have to travel back in time. We have to leave the humidity of the Caribbean and go to the cold, gray winters of Poland in the 1930s. We go to a small convent cell occupied by a humble, uneducated nun named Sister Maria Faustina Kowalska. To the outside world, she was nobody. She was a gardener, a cook, a doorkeeper. But inside the silence of her soul, she was holding a conversation that would change the history of the Church. She is known today as the Apostle of Divine Mercy. And her mission began with a vision. On February 22, 1931, Faustina saw Jesus. But she did not see him as a distant figure on a throne. She saw him standing, clothed in a white garment. One hand was raised in blessing, the other was touching the garment at the breast. From beneath the garment, slightly opening at the chest, there emanated two large rays. One ray was red, the other was pale. The Lord gave her a specific command: paint an image according to the pattern you see. She asked him the meaning of these two colors. The answer she recorded in her diary is precise, and it sends a shiver down the spine of anyone looking at the Casa San Pablo photo today. Jesus told her, "The two rays denote blood and water. The pale ray stands for the water, which makes souls righteous. The red ray stands for the blood, which is the life of souls." For decades, millions of Catholics have prayed before this painted image. We see the rays in oil and canvas. We see them on prayer cards. We see them in statues. But these are artist interpretations. They are human attempts to capture a divine reality. But Faustina's visions didn't stop with the painting. And this is where the connection to our mystery photo becomes undeniable. Faustina wrote extensively in her diary, a book that is now considered a spiritual classic, that this phenomenon wasn't restricted to her private visions. She saw these same rays coming from the Eucharist. In one entry, she writes, "When the priest took the blessed sacrament to bless the people, I saw the Lord Jesus as he is represented in the image. The Lord gave his blessing, and the rays extended over the whole world." In another, she describes the rays piercing the host and spreading out like a fan, covering the chapel, the sisters, and the students. Now, hold that description in your mind. Two rays, red and pale, extending from the host, covering the people. Now look back at the photo from Casa San Pablo. What did the camera see? It did not see a generic white light. It saw a distinct separation of the spectrum. It captured the red, the color of the blood, the life of souls. It captured the pale white, the color of the water, the justification. It is as if the digital sensor, for one brief moment, saw the spiritual infrastructure of the universe. It captured a divine mercy image, not painted by a human hand, but painted by light itself. For the faithful, this convergence is too precise to be a coincidence. It validates the idea that what Faustina saw wasn't a hallucination of an overactive mind, but a glimpse into the true nature of the sacrament. The photo serves as a bridge between the mystical experience of a polished saint and the digital experience of the modern believer. It tells us that the rays are not just symbolic lines drawn on a canvas. They are a reality. They represent a flow, a movement. And this concept of flow brings us to the final, ancient layer of this mystery. The photo shows the light gushing from the monstrance. It looks liquid. It looks like a stream. This brings us to the prophecy of Ezekiel in the Old Testament. The prophet sees a vision of the temple in Jerusalem, but he sees something impossible. Water is trickling from the sanctuary. At first, it is ankle deep, then knee deep, then waist deep. Finally, it becomes a river that cannot be crossed. And everywhere this river flows, it brings life. It flows into the Dead Sea, and the salty waters become fresh. Fish teem in it. Trees grow along its banks. Everything will live where the river goes, the scripture says. In the New Covenant, the temple is no longer a building of stone. The temple is the body of Christ. The temple is the Eucharist. When we look at the Casa San Pablo photo, we are seeing a visual representation of Ezekiel's river. We are seeing the source of life gushing from the new temple. The light in the photo is behaving exactly like the water in the prophecy. It is pouring out to the right, sweeping over the Dead Sea of the human condition, promising to turn our salt water into fresh water. It is a terrifyingly beautiful image. It suggests that adoration is not a passive activity. When we sit before the Eucharist, we are not just looking at an object. We are sitting in the path of a river. We are stepping into a radiation zone of grace. Whether we feel it or not, whether we see it or not, the torrent is there. The red ray is washing over our wounds. The pale ray is purifying our past. The gold ray is illuminating our darkness. The camera at Casa San Pablo may have just been a machine. It had no soul. It had no faith. But perhaps that is why it makes such a perfect witness. It had no reason to lie. It simply opened its eye and recorded the truth that we are often too blind to see. That we are constantly being bathed in a stream of mercy that flows from the heart of God. And now that we have seen the evidence, now that we have understood the theology, and now that we have heard the testimony of the saints, there is only one thing left to do. We must stop analyzing. We must stop looking at the photo and start looking through it. We must step into the river. We are going to move now from observation to participation. Wherever you are sitting in your home, on a bus, in a dark room, I invite you to set aside your skepticism and your distractions. For the next few minutes, we are going to join that crowd in Santo Domingo. We are going to place ourselves before that monstrance. We are going to let the light touch us. For the next few minutes, the screen in front of you is no longer a phone, or a tablet, or a computer. It is a window. I want you to imagine that you are standing in that auditorium in Santo Domingo. The air is warm. The room is dark. The only light comes from the golden vessel on the stage. You are not analyzing a photo anymore. You are standing in the presence of the reality behind the photo. Adoration is not about doing. It is about being. It is about letting the light that was captured on that camera do its work on you. So, take a deep breath. Let the noise of your day fall away. Let the skepticism fade. Step into the river. Visualize the red ray, the light of the blood. This is the light of sacrifice. Bring to your mind the things that hurt you right now, the wounds you carry, the rejection, the physical pain, the grief that feels like a weight in your chest. Imagine that red light flowing from the host and touching those specific places in your heart. You do not have to heal yourself. You only have to let the light touch the wound. Blood of Christ, inebriate us. Blood of Christ, heal us. Now, visualize the pale ray, the light of the water. This is the light of the Spirit. It is the water that washes. Bring to your mind your anxiety, the mistakes of your past, the racing thoughts that keep you awake at night, the guilt. Imagine a cool, rushing stream flowing from the altar, washing over your mind. It is sweeping away the debris. It is making all things new. You are being justified right now, in this moment. Water from the side of Christ, wash us. Water from the side of Christ, purify us. And finally, see the gold. This is the light of the King. It is the promise that no matter how dark the world gets, the light is stronger. It is the glory that waits for us. We ask for this light to enter our homes. If there is darkness in your family, let the rays enter. If there is sickness in your body, let the rays enter. If there is emptiness in your soul, let the river fill it. Saint Faustina said that Jesus told her, "The flames of mercy are burning me. I desire to pour them out upon human souls." The photo from Casa San Pablo is a testament to that burning desire. It is a snapshot of God's longing for you. He is not hiding. He is gushing forth. He is reaching out. So we end with this prayer, uniting our voices with the thousands who were in that room and the millions who have seen the image since. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us, I trust in you. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us, I trust in you. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fount of mercy for us, I trust in you. The camera shutter has closed. The moment in 2010 has passed, but the river is still flowing. Open your eyes and carry the light with you.